Indians, they will treat you bad at a workplace because they have more privilege.
Yeah.
A Filipino racist.
It's just
Filipino
bad.
racism is in the air, on the road, on the train, everywhere.
I wasn't and will never feel welcomed in the Philippines. For those that do not know, I'm half Nigerian and Filipino. I grew up being physically and verbally bullied in the Philippines for being black and having shaved hair. We moved to Australia when I was about 8 and decided to visit the family every December to do feedings and donations to the neighborhood. And every year I would experience the same racism and bigotry. I have not been in the Philippines for about 3 years, so I decided to go alone for 3 months thinking that I would be treated differently. Boy, was I wrong. It was only about a week into my vacation and my cat died, sadly. I was in fucking pain and the best way to get rid of it is by buying snacks. Long story short, drivers saw me, stared at me, loudly called me the N-word, and laughed whilst pointing at me. Ever since that day, there hasn't been a moment where I don't hear people whispering the N-word every time I go out. Filipinos tend to worship Eurocentric features and those who are mixed with some type of white. But when it comes to anyone that is a shade darker than the expected standards, they are suddenly stigmatized. My TikTok For You page, a place where I feel happy to scroll through, has been filled with many whitening ads, people who are being bullied in the comments for being dark, and multiple people thirst trapping using whitening filters. I also went to the mall and I was offered whitening products in the same hour, and a woman tugged on my braids. When will this stop? It has been so hard for me to leave the house because now I know that everyone thinks I'm different. Fuck. And when I do leave, I feel a crazy amount of anxiety. My skin itches because I feel everyone's eyes on my skin. We need to wash out racism in this generation. There are no real advocates for black Asians and it's disgusting. I bought a whole vlogging camera so that I could document our experience. But I don't even know how I feel about coming back after this experience.
And let me tell you, Filipino people, the real Filipinos, the people that started your country are black people. You guys, you're not white. Just stop having this narrative in your heads that you guys think you're white. You guys are not white. You have negritos. You want to tell me even your great-grandparents that are negritos back at your home country? They're true people, the founders of your home country. You don't get close to them because they smell, because they're black?
Hi guys, welcome to another video. It's Ndagire here. Thanks for coming. Today's video is something that I landed on and it's also from a fellow creator, 𝗂𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗄𝗃. She's a Ugandan YouTuber. Her link is going to be in the description. Please go and check her out. So it's about the Filipinos and how they got a black dark-skinned queen, of course, and she was awarded as the Miss Philippines, and it's causing chaos. People are mad, people are fuming, people are literally burning in their homes because they can't stand seeing a dark-skinned girl as the Miss Philippines, which is crazy. And also as a person, I have a few experiences that I really got from Filipinos as a person. But before I get into it, watch this clip, come back, and let's talk about it.
Bulacan! And our first runner-up is 𝗂𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗃.
Miss Universe Philippines crowns first black Filipino winner. Black Filipino model 𝗙𝗆 Manolo makes history as she's crowned Miss Universe Philippines. Andrew, some people say she's a front runner to potentially win the whole thing in Mexico.
There's a lot of comments from people from the Philippines and people outside of the Philippines, but we're going to analyze the comments. You let us know what you think in the comments down below, please.
Let me just say this. 𝗙𝗆 Manolo is incredibly gorgeous.
She's fine.
She's hot. But
oh my goodness.
Let's take a look at who she beat out in the field, Andrew. The #1 front runner for the internal Miss Philippines that she won, Andrew, was Atisa Manolo. Oh, interestingly enough,
I don't think she's related. Okay.
Yeah, I guess Manolo's a pretty common last name. #2 was Christy. #3 was Victoria. #4 was 𝗙𝗆. And #5 was Chris. And a lot of people were saying, Andrew, that Miss Philippines traditionally have almost looked like 𝗙𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗏, but more like Filipino mixed with white.
Right. They've always looked kind of mixed, I guess. Even though we know that the Philippines is a very mixed place, that's kind of the sentiment in a lot of these comments. But anyways, basically at this point, 𝗙𝗆 Manolo, shout out to her, she will be now competing in the larger Miss Universe to represent the Philippines. Yes.
And I think that this really opens up a really interesting discussion about colonialism, colorism. We're talking about how this is a break from the classic pattern of more white passing Filipino beauty pageant winners. So yeah, it's a big change because it is true that for 𝗙𝗶𝘀𝗃 Manolo and a lot of the global modeling campaigns that she's been in, she plays as a black model. Let's just say, for example, let's analyze the last 20 years of Miss Philippines winners, and they've definitely been either lighter-skinned Filipinos or half white themselves. Is it a big change for one to be half black?
I mean, I think it's cool. I think it's cool that, traditionally it's usually the white features that are valued more. But I mean, dude, Manolo is fire. Like, I don't know any guy who would, not want to marry her. You know what I mean? So I guess, like, I think it's good. I mean, she has pretty dark skin. So, and I don't know, like, she looks almost like some just African girls I've seen. Like, her eyes are a little bit more Asian, but if you've ever met black people who would end up having a little bit more Asian eyes, they usually get an Asian nickname growing up because they look the most Asian out of their friend group, even though they're full black. Yes, it's like that.
This is a comment that you saw from more white people. Why do we have to mention that she's black in the first one? Why can't we just celebrate her achievements without mentioning the racial component?
You mean without mentioning her mix? Yeah, I mean...
the fact that it was a break from the pattern.
Right. I mean, I do think that they are going to give her a boost for breaking the pattern, for the agenda of, pushing more diverse Miss Universes and stuff like that. So I think there is a little bit of that for sure, the political game.
But maybe it's good, too, because, like, if all the winners were all half Spanish or half Italian for, like, 50 years, I mean, they got to break from it, right?
Right.
As you've seen the video, that is what actually happened. A dark-skinned, beautiful woman was crowned as the Miss Philippines. And it's just so beautiful to see. It's a very good representation, especially to the Filipinos, the dark-skinned Filipinos that have been denied access to beauty or access to being seen, because even when you look into the entertainment of Asian people, Filipinos, Indians, Chinese, or all those people, Koreans, you rarely see a dark-skinned person, and they actually exist. It's a very good representation, especially to the girls, the dark-skinned girls. And I mean, seeing someone that looks like you win something, it really motivates you into believing that you can also do it, especially when it comes to girls. We are very sensitive beings, and we want to see ourselves win in most of the things or most of the places. So seeing, like, now young girls, young dark-skinned Filipino girls are going to believe in themselves that they can do it means a lot, and I really appreciate that this happened. So for the people that are really pissed about it, that's their loss, and we don't give a F about it. It happened, and it's still going to continue to happen, because representation matters. There's a lot of dark-skinned people in Asian countries, but those people are really hidden. They are not given opportunities. I mean, if you look into the entertainment of Asian people especially, the only time you're going to see a dark skin representation is when they are doing something evil, because that's where they think we belong. Like, the only time anyone who is dark skinned is to play a role is when they are doing something that is shady, shitty, horrible, or not really worth in society. And it's just crazy. And I don't really understand how or why the dark skinned people in those places, in those Asian countries, don't really stand up for themselves. Because no one is going to fight for them. The way we Africans are fighting for equality, the way Black Americans are fighting for justice, the way the Caribbeans are also doing the same, Black British and all that. The same way the Black Asian people need to stand up and fight for themselves, because we are facing the same challenges. The fact that you're in your countries, let's say in Philippine, and people feel bad when a dark-skinned person is represented and wins something is crazy, ridiculous, and really sad to see. That's the fact. Going back to a few stories of my encounters with Filipinos, they were hilarious, funny, and annoying at that time. Okay, now they're hilarious. But in that moment, I was pissed. I was so pissed. The first one, I remember, the first job I did in Dubai, I was doing cleaning. I was put in a house with this Filipino girl. And I think the boss of that day was a white woman. So she came and told me to do the balcony, the kitchen, and the sitting room. And I did those things, actually. I was proud of myself. I did those things fast and finished. This girl came from upstairs, the Filipino cleaner I went with, and told me that I had to iron clothes and also clean the kids' room. which I didn't know it was her that was supposed to do those things. So as I was cleaning the bedroom of the child, the boss, that lady, the white woman, came and asked me what I was doing. I was like, oh, I've done everything I'm supposed to do. So I was told that you told me to do this. She was like, who told you to do that? I didn't say that you should do this. This is supposed to be done by the other colleague of yours, the Filipino one. I was like, I don't know. And then she went and started, yelling and shouting and screaming at her. And I remember that woman got her phone. She called the office and never wanted to send any Filipino person to her house because she was over them. I literally did everything. She didn't do a damn thing. And I was accused, and she accused me that I'm the one who reported her, that she was doing nothing. That was crazy. That was crazy. But the fact that the lady had called office, of course, they knew that she was lying. The next incident, we were going home, and there's this Ugandan girl that had locked herself in an apartment of the client. So we had to wait for the client to open the door, and it took some time, like 1 hour and so whatever. As she came down to enter the van, there is this Filipino woman. Actually, she was old. An old Filipino woman came out of the car and started harassing and insulting this Ugandan girl. And this girl was like just staring and shaking and was doing nothing. She couldn't even fight for herself or even say anything. She was just there staring. And it got to me. I was so pissed. I got so pissed, guys. I still remember how pissed I was. I got out of the car because people were moving on the street, and they were stopping to look at this girl get humiliated by this Filipino woman who would do the same job, not even like higher in any way. We were in the same category at whatever we were doing. She was humiliating this Ugandan girl who couldn't even fight for herself. I had to intervene. I could not stand it. I still remember I went out and I said a lot of things. I just couldn't take it in. It was just so hurtful for me to see a fellow Ugandan, a fellow African, a fellow black person be insulted by someone who is literally in the same level as us and nothing like us. Literally, I couldn't take it in. And that day, I actually remember we were called in office, and I actually explained everything the way it was, and she was blamed for the insults. Like, why was she even like overreacting when everyone knew it wasn't the fault of the Ugandan girl? But just because these people feel like we Africans are nothing, even though we are in the same job, earning the same money and doing the same everything, they still feel like they are above us, which I found crazy. And also, I understood that ever since that day, because I said things and I stood up for myself and for the friend, that girl, they never disrespected me again. Even when we went to houses, they would communicate in a proper manner towards me. They would come and really say things proper when it came to me. But when it came to some other girls, it was crazy. It was horrible. And I got to understand that these people do that because they feel like we can't say anything. They feel like we are inferior, that we can't stand up for ourselves. So that's the mentality they have towards us, especially African people. There is this where we really see these other groups of people like they are the gods of the world, which is crazy. Like, and as a person that worked in spaces where they are, I got to realize like, oh, these people are actually the same as us. There's nothing different. The fact that I was close to the Pakistanis, the Indians, the Filipinos, the whites. Like, I was like, the Arabs as well in some instances. I was like, these people are the same. You just have to be bold enough and air out your opinions if you have to. And when they are mean, be mean as well. Because when you turn into what they are turning to you, they start to have respect towards you as a person. Even when I would like sit in trains or buses and they don't come next to me, at first it would piss me off, but after I was like, it's their loss. I mean, I'm seated, I'm relaxed, whatsoever. But then still, even in the buses and in the trains, some Indians will sit next to you. Whites didn't really care. Filipinos, those people would rather stand in a bus, in a train, than to sit next to you, which I found really ridiculous. And they used to cover their noses every time, like, a black person would enter a train or a bus. I was like, you mean Africans are smelling more than the Pakistanis? Like, these people would stink, and not to like shade anyone, but those people would stink. The smell wasn't amazing. That's all I can say. But then when I would see these Filipinos cover their noses after seeing a black person, an African one, I would get shocked. Like, I would ask myself, you guys are not smelling the Pakistanis, you are not smelling these people, you're only smelling the Africans because they've entered the place. Are you all right? Are you okay? These are the same people that when you would enter in the same apartment, you live in the same apartment, when they would see you, they would run off like you're going to insult them or do something to them, like you're going to take their lives away. They would start running, and I would really find it like funny. I would laugh at it, like, how? Why? Like, are you scared of us that much? I mean, if you're able to act like you're better, why would you be scared of a person like me in a hallway with you, like in Dubai, especially? Like, how? Another incident is we went to work. We were 4 girls, 2 Filipinos, and 2 Africans. There was a Sierra Leone girl, me, and two Filipinos. These girls, when we finished doing the job and everything, cleaning and all that, they ran off and like left us. And when they saw us coming in the elevator, they closed it in our faces, in our freaking faces. We came together in the house to clean. But when it came to go back home, and the bus, actually the van was to wait for us all to go together. It's not like they were going to go somewhere else, like they were rushing to find something. They were going to the same van that we were going to. These girls saw us coming with our luggage and all that, and they closed the elevator onto us in our faces, and there were only 2 people in the elevator. Tell me how that is not racism. Like, really, tell me how. Because if someone has not done anything to you, why would you do such a thing, like run off and like literally close the elevator in front of their faces? Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Many of you outside of the Philippines may or may not know that colorism in Asia has been a thing. Colorism around the world has been a big thing, but especially within the Philippines. I mentioned several times before that when I was growing up, I didn't have many people that I could identify with or that looked like me or that I could understand, but she's here. She's here. I feel like I was just ahead of my time. They're typically and usually mixed with half white or Australian, German, something like this. Those queens are amazing. They're amazing, nothing against them, but there's never been, look at that skin, morena, look at that skin, honey. Things were not often celebrated when I was growing up. I was told that I was getting too dark. I used to wear sweaters outside in the summer just not to get a tan. I told you about the glutathiones and the bello soaps and all of this sort of thing, and I didn't begin to love my skin until I was in my 20s. But to see this now, to have other young people be able to see her and see themselves in her, go on forever. But I think ultimately what I'm trying to say is,
of course, they praise this skin, and if there's anything that a Filipino person is scared of, it is anything to do with dark skin. Like the way they cover themselves in the sun, even when it's just a morning sun, you would get shocked. I would see these girls or these men with a hat, with an umbrella, with their arms covered, with a mask. Like they really fear dark skin. Like it's something that if you tell them to go to hell and to live with Africans or black people, they would rather choose hell. That's how scared they are when it comes to dark skin. Also, not to generalize, but I would say majority of people that have this kind of racism a lot that is so open, I would say at the older generation, they have that mindset, like I said, that a black person has to be a slave, literally, and the world has evolved, the world has changed. Of course, now everyone wants to be African because Africa is like a trend now, so everyone is looking for ways of getting into the community. But I mean, we'll still call you out if you do BS. Like, really, I would say the new generation is probably trying to learn and understand, and that's why we are seeing this today. But the older generation, those people are the greatest kind of disappointment in humanity that are still existing today in 2024. They are the worst. They are the worst. But yeah, guys, let me know, have you had these kind of encounters with Filipinos? But yeah, that is it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It might have been like a long video, but I had to say something about it. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.